My name is Chase W. Nelson, Chinese name Ni Cheng-zhi, and I'm an evolutionary biologist living and working here in Taiwan. I'm originally from Holland, Michigan in the United States, and I went to college in Oberlin College in Oberlin, Ohio, and then I got my PhD at the University of South Carolina. While I was at South Carolina, I studied with Austin Hughes, who was a famous evolutionary biologist that focused on the evolution of the human immune system. But when I studied with him, we kind of looked at it from the other point of view, from the virus's point of view. And he was really getting involved in trying to understand virus evolution. And so my field is something we call bioinformatics. And what that means is that I write code and I develop data models and develop methods for trying to understand the genomes of viruses. And so one of my focuses has been trying to develop methods to detect where natural selection is acting in genomes, and specifically viruses like West Nile virus or HPV or SARS-CoV-2. Well, I originally came to Taiwan because I wanted to work with Taiwan's great evolutionary biologist, Li Wenqiang at Zhongyan Yuan. And I'd read his textbook and I was really familiar with a lot of his amazing early work. And so I came directly to learn from him and to get that experience and get that mentoring. But of course, after working with him, I also found lots of other reasons to stay. There's a reason that all sorts of magazines and expat surveys rank Taiwan as always like one of the top 5 places for expats. And there's reasons for that, like the great food here, the great community here, and the nature, the hiking, the mountains. So there's a lot of reasons to stay. But of course, some of my personal reasons are my partner is here, lives and works here. I have found a lot of friends and a lot of opportunities. One thing is that I'm a musician, and so on the side I've been able to find some great opportunities for performing and meeting like-minded people. And there's just a lot of great people here, hardworking, and I found a lot of reasons that I want to keep living here. And of course, now, we came here before COVID-19, so the decision to come here, in hindsight, looks like a really good one. Well, it's hard to argue with results, and Taiwan got results. So the whole year of 2020, there were only 799 cases and 7 deaths. And that's including the cases that were imported from overseas. So in terms of how Taiwan prevented COVID-19, it really doesn't get better. And there were, of course, a lot of factors in that. They were one of the first countries in the world to start doing things like implementing quarantine for incoming flights. They used their national health insurance, this single-payer system, to coordinate distribution of masks to everyone. And they did it at an affordable rate to control prices. They increased mask production from like 2 million to 15 million in a couple months. There's just so many things that Taiwan did right and did quickly to prevent COVID-19, and that's what allowed it to stay COVID-0 for like 253 days. From April to December in 2020. Now, of course, there was an outbreak of Alpha of the Alpha variant in May 2021, and there's various causes of that. And I do think there are some things that Taiwan can do better. For example, migrant workers. The treatment of migrant workers hasn't been really fair or equal. And so there's some human rights things that need to be addressed. There are some things with testing. I think testing could have been used better. And there are also some policy issues like working from home could be more encouraged by the government. Things like testing and lots of other things that I think, we're still in the midst of it, but Taiwan will I'm confident. Think about these things and continue improving how it responds. And of course, we're back to approximately COVID-0 now after that outbreak. So I feel totally confident in Taiwan, and I'm really glad that I live here during COVID. Well, it's a pandemic, so as you say, so I think it's really important to find, if you're going overseas, to find a place that takes public health seriously. And of course, to me, that means staying in Taiwan. And of course, there's also less travel because of the risks involved in travel. And so you should find a place that you feel comfortable, that has a supportive community, and that you can, live easily and well. And then of course, if there's an emergency, you want a place that is open enough and affordable enough for you to get home in that emergency. Well, specifically in Taiwan, there's a lot of advice I could give for generic advice that would be applicable anywhere, but specifically for Taiwan, learn Chinese. A lot of people are probably coming here to do just that, to learn Chinese, but if that's not your field, like it's not mine, invest as much time as possible, as early as possible, in trying to learn, basic words, tones, your favorite food, and just start with those basic building blocks, because it is so much easier to live here if you can sort of, get by on some Chinese. And then of course, another more generic piece of advice is to put down roots and to build relationships, to get friends and to get out in the community. Don't just stay with other expats. Don't just hang out with your little group of friends. Learn about the new culture and the new place that you're in. And that sort of networking is probably going to be what leads to new job opportunities and what would allow you to eventually be successful in a place that isn't your home country.